Welcome to the Oligarch's Nightmare by David Mach as part of Galway International Arts Festival. David Mach is one of the UK's most successful and respected artists, who has become known for his dynamic, provocative and large-scale montages, public art and sculptures constructed from mass-produced materials such as coat hangers, car tyres and sometimes even an entire Range Rover. Born in 1956 in Fife, Scotland, David, the son of a miner, would be inspired by the construction and materials surrounding him. The influence of how the heavy machinery of those dockyards, juxtaposed with idyllic Scottish landscapes, can be seen throughout his work. The Oligarch's Nightmare marks David's return to the festival, having previously exhibited Hell-Bent in 2006, a larger-than-life sculpture of a man carrying a torch, and then the astounding Precious Light in 2012, which memorably featured haunting crucifixion imagery, including the enormous Golgotha. Precious Light at the 2012 festival was David's biggest exhibition at the time and took 6 years to complete. David felt that all his previous work was pointing him towards that show's large-scale, biblical and imposing pieces, which offered festival audiences a spectacle unlike anything they had seen before. David would continue this style of immersive large-scale shows and return to the Galway International Arts Festival in 2018 with the show Rock and Roll. A show that would live in the memory for anyone who saw it, with a full-size car and boat marooned on a wave of 166,000 individual newspapers, which saw a record-breaking number of audiences attending. And now, in front of you, David Mach brings you the Oligarch's Nightmare, a Range Rover which has just exploded. The towering orange and black plume of fire and smoke that engulfs the vehicle stretches from floor to ceiling, standing at approximately 30 feet. The structure of the explosion is moulded and sculpted from various inflatable beach balls, footballs and tennis balls, covered in jesmonite and fiberglass, which is built around a metal tower and timber frame. This complex structure took the artist and his team 6 weeks to construct, prior to 2 weeks of painting. The Range Rover itself is of course real, and was actually driven to Galway by David and his team, which apparently was a very nice drive according to David, so much so for a brief second he considered keeping it. But as the destroyed wreck stands before you, that drive would of course be its last. The explosion bursts from the ground itself, adding to the immersive nature of the piece. You might be wondering, were they allowed to smash through a floor? Well, to peek through the curtain a little, this is actually more ingenious trickery from the team who perfectly recreated the colour of the floor below you and blended that into the piece itself. The idea for the piece came to David only recently, as he wanted to create an experience that felt more akin to seeing a rock and roll concert than seeing a piece of sculpture in a gallery. By doing this, David hopes to play with people's expectations of what a piece of art is and what it should be. You might not be expecting to see such a loud, violent, vivid piece on a quiet visit to a gallery, but at the same time, it will feel familiar to you because you've seen images like this in a film. If you do feel like that, it's no accident, as David pulled from the action movies he loved as a child to create this blockbuster-like image of his own. The explosive finale of Dr. No, where James Bond escapes, was an influence on how to make this piece as cinematic and thrilling as possible. This was not the only expectation that David wanted to challenge, as he also hopes the Oligarch's Nightmare and its sense of humour plays on people's own assumptions of life. As you see this high-end car destroyed, do you feel sorry for the driver? Or perhaps not. At the end of the day, that's up to you. As you make your way through the festival gallery, you will see other maquettes and montages from David's astonishing career. Among these you can find London Calling, a meandering tower of red foam boxes. The fierce If You Go Down to the Woods Today, featuring a bear on guard outside a cabin of miniature logs. The wonderfully named Homage to White Van Drivers, featuring a stack of miniature Mercedes white vans. And The Infiltrator, the temple-like structure that looks like it's been plucked from Athens. You'll also find the original maquette of the Oligarch's Nightmare. When David first imagined the explosive scene of a Range Rover meeting its end, he saw a toy model of one in a supermarket that very day, which David saw as a positive sign to make the piece. When asked what feeling would he like the audience to leave with after experiencing the Oligarch's Nightmare, David replied, crying, giggling, laughing, furious. You can't control how an audience feels, but I hope they're thrilled. It's an epic. The Festival Gallery is presented in association with the Dean Galway, who also provided support for this podcast.